reaching beyond the borders into the unknown. Welcome to Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma.
Kind of move around a lot when I speak. It just makes me feel more comfortable. I'm not used to guest speaking at all. Hello, my name is Kale Epperson. I'm with Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. I'm also an ordained minister with the Universal Life Church. I've been ghost hunting since 2009. I've worked with several different paranormal teams. Our team, we go out and we investigate mostly ghosts and spirits, but on occasion we do deal with the demonic. The thing I want to talk about today is the dangers of summoning spirits. I know Glenn, he's been wanting to kind of keep this kind of based around Halloween, and one thing we notice when we do investigations that sometimes during the month of October we'll do regular ghost cases, and sometimes demonic beings will show their ugly head. Last year, we investigated the USS Batfish, which is not known for any demonic activity whatsoever. We ended up having something show up there, and it ended up coming there because someone in the area was doing some type of summoning ritual. So I just want to kind of get into the basics of what is a ghost, what is a spirit, a poltergeist, angels, and demons. A ghost, before I get started, there may be some things I say that you may or may not agree with. I know everyone's got different religious beliefs and stuff like that. It's not my intention to step on anybody's toes. One thing I like about being part of the Universal Life Church, we're very open to all religious beliefs. Every religious belief taps into the paranormal one way or another. I just kind of view religion as someone's way of trying to explain the supernatural to the best of their intent. So some of the things I may talk about you may or may not agree with, but it's fine. And a lot boils down to whatever your beliefs are. Ghost in the spirit. Ghost in the spirit is a soul or a spirit of a dead person or animal that can appear to the living. Ghosts are believed to be earthbound spirits who refuse to cross over into the afterlife due to some form of unfinished business. Most paranormal researchers believe that ghosts and spirits are the same, while a small portion of researchers believe ghosts and spirits are separated. The theory on spirits that they are souls that have already crossed over into the afterlife and they return to help the living. Let's see, I'm losing track here. Ghosts, one thing we notice, ghosts they rely on energy to manifest. They have to absorb energy out of the environment or off people to manifest and do things. One thing I've learned with my research is ghosts seem to be forgetful. I've gotten EVPs in the past where I'll ask, like, what is your name? And they don't know their name. Or they'll forget dates and times. Spirits, they seem like they don't need to recharge their energy. They're very abundant with their energy. They can manifest with things. Spirits are very aware of their surroundings. They're very knowledgeable. You can ask the spirit what their name is and you'll get a direct response. A poltergeist is a type of ghost or other supernatural entity which is responsible for physical disturbances, such as loud noises or objects being moved or being destroyed. Poltergeists are known for pinching, biting, and hitting, and tripping people. Most accounts of poltergeists described are some form of movement or levitation of objects, such as furniture, cutlery, and noises such as knocking on doors. A poltergeist can either be an upset spirit or a demonic entity. Angels are typically described as either holy, or some view them as dreadful. Angels are endowed with wisdom and knowledge of earthly events. They seem like they strive together, they work together, and there's on occasion God has to make peace between them. Anyone that reads scripture in the Bible, the angels are a little bit different. Sometimes they're coming to give good news, while others are coming to say, I'm getting ready to destroy your town. Angels are known to deliver healing, messengers from God, and sometimes are guardian spirits. A demon is considered a harmful spiritual entity, and is to be believed to be a spiritual entity that may be conjured or controlled. Demons are also considered by many beliefs as negative angels. Angelic or demonic entities are known to shapeshift into other human forms. There's many cases that we go on to where people have a demonic presence in their house, and the demonic entity will like show itself as a small child. It tries to appear innocent. Sometimes they appear very negative. It just depends on the point of view of the person that views them. Demons are just known to deceive people. All entities have free will. Sorry, is there a way we can get a fan up here? I'm like, it's really loud.
She's trying to help you out. She's getting talkative.
Sorry,
Oh, you're fine.
I'm getting like a lot of heat up here.
Use your
Shut
tape.
that window. Shut that window.
What?
I mean, pull that screen down over the window.
I need to get there.
Excuse me. All entities have free will. They can lie and be deceitful. Ghosts can lie and claim to be demons or angels. All can be forced and controlled against their wills, causing negative circumstances. So the question when it comes up to summoning and conjuring, what is that? What is summoning? What is conjuring and application? It means to call together or convene, or a request to appear. Summoning is also considered forcing a spirit to appear to you. I like to call it kidnapping a spirit. Most religious views look down on summoning spirits. They think it's a very bad thing. If you go to church, that's something they tell you really strongly. You don't summon spirits. Some people view summoning as a form of magic, which basically it is. Anytime you're basically trying to use your energy to pull something to you. Why do people summon entities? Most of the time it's normally due to a negative intent. If you ever watch videos online, you see people using Ouija boards, especially juveniles. They're using Ouija boards. They always have a negative intent. They think it's a game. They think it's a parlor trick. They just want them to get scared. But what they're not realizing is that when they're summoning, it's inviting things to come to them. People that summon can open up portals and gateways. Some people try to summon because they're trying to communicate with someone that's passed on. They're trying to talk to grandma or grandpa that's passed away. Some people summon to fortune tell. They're trying to predict the future or what's going to happen to them in the future. Some people summon to cast positive or negative spells. Some people do it because of power, control, and money. We had a demonic case in Muskogee, Oklahoma not too long ago where a woman was summoning spirits so she could have power, control, and money, which is stuff that she gained from this entity. And what she wasn't realizing was she was summoning demons And it's a bad deal to make a pact with a demon. Okay? Because normally, yeah, you get everything you want, but sooner or later it's going to take it back. It's a curiosity of the unknown. Some people summon for healing purposes. And some people summon because it's a desperate calling for help. Any form of calling, a help calling can attract good or positive entities. You do not need a Ouija board or a ritual to summon a demon or a spirit. We're continually surrounded by negative entities and demons. The majority of these entities are low-level energy beings that are easily cast away. We cast away demons daily without even knowing it. So basically, the act of summoning is calling forth the spirit. Now, we get people that ask us all the time in the ghost hunting field is that what you guys are doing? Are you guys summoning spirits? Well, the gentlemen that are here with you today, they've been in the ghost hunting field for a long time. Now, when we go out and do an investigation, we're not summoning spirits because the spirits are already there. The summoning portion comes in is for, say, if we're inside a building that's not known for any paranormal activity whatsoever, but we're calling for spirits to come to us. That's the difference. We're trying to force spirits to come to us. When we do our investigations, when we go like to a haunted house or something, we already know the spirit's already there. So when we're asking questions, it's trying to see if we get anything to respond back to us. But we're not forcing them to communicate with us. What are the signs of demonic attachment or what we consider infestation? There are multiple signs. Most of the time, just a run of bad luck will suddenly start happening to you. Multiple negative events that affect the victim, the family, or their friends. And usually, the purpose, I always say demons have a job to do. The demon's job is to destroy you. It's our job to resist them. So they're going to do anything possible to make your life literally a living hell. So if they're going to try to tear you down, they're going to tear your family down, they're going to try to tear your friends down, all of this get back at you. Okay. Signs of the infestation is similar. It usually starts off like a regular haunting. Objects may move, people may see apparitions, hear disembodied voices. Some people with demonic hauntings get growling noises, smells of rotting meat, sulfur, brimstone, and physical attacks. Demonic entities are known to manipulate electronics such as lights, TVs, radios, and etc., especially in a home or building not known to paranormal activities in the past. So most cases that we deal with the demonic, the homes are not even haunted. These people have never had any issues, and all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Any adversary to the sacred is also a big sign. Demonic entities don't like anything of holiness at all, or anything positive. Holy items such as any representation to Christ, or anything considered like an ascended master, holy water, crucifixes, symbols, can cause negative reactions to negative entities. It could be just an aversion to even being near a minister, whether it's a priest, shaman, or light worker. It somehow causes a reaction, like there's fear for no apparent reason, illness or upset stomach, or people just feeling blue or depressed. Random sicknesses or illnesses, feeling weak, nauseous, skin tingling, skin burning. Migraines is usually a big sign, and dizziness. Physical attacks on a person such as scratching, pushing, and etc. When we deal with demonic cases, most of us shield and protect ourselves, but we've been on cases where the demon will try to find a weak link and they'll attack somebody. And the majority of the time, it's attacking their energy. It makes people feel sick, as they feel drained, they feel nauseous, they're like, man, I don't feel good all of a sudden. It's usually a sign that they're being attacked. Now, we have situations where they'll physically attack people, like pushing, scratching, stuff like that. Any aversion to walking onto or into holy ground, such as a church of any kind. And this kind of gets more into people that are possessed now. There's a difference between an oppression and a possession. An oppression is basically an infestation. It's where the demon or evil spirit lingers around your home or your business, and they're just giving you crap all the time. A possession is where you agree to have the demon basically take over your body and give you bad will. Excuse me. So anytime we're dealing with a people that's got a heavy oppression or a possession, when we do exorcisms on people, sometimes they'll foam at the mouth, or they'll start coughing heavily. They may get sick and throw up. That's normally a sign that we're pulling the evil out of them. Is when they have that reaction, because when we're dealing with the demonic, it's basically dealing with positive and negative energies. And what we're doing is we're overflowing that person with positive energy to reject the negative energy. Our bodies are kind of like an antennae. When you get psychics and mediums, they're more sensitive to their surroundings compared to like a regular individual that can realize what's going on. Some people that are possessed, they speak in a language that you don't know of. Most demonic activity, people are speaking in Latin most of the time. Some people that are possessed, their eyes may roll back. It's usually a reaction to the sacred. So if somebody's possessed and we're holding up a cross or any loving, positive emblem in front of them, it may cause them to react funny. A demonic entity can speak through a vessel in the voice of the person, but they may say things that normal people don't know. One thing we have to be careful of when we do exorcisms on people is that, that demon may tell people your deepest, darkest sin. We have to remind ourselves that we're already forgiving for our sins, but they will bring that stuff up. I'll go to a client's house with demonic activity, and I will tell them that the demon will rat out. The one house in Muskogee, we were doing the investigation, and the demon told us that the people had drugs in their house, and they were quite shocked because they had that hidden in the house because they didn't want us to know about it. And it's like, I'm sorry, they just told us. Sometimes they tell off on more personal stuff, but we try to warn the clients that sometimes happens. But that includes us too, as light workers or ministers. When we're doing the exorcisms, they may bring up something from the past just to bring us down. Well, you used to do this. Yeah, but I'm forgiven for it. We're all human. Even a priest is human. Let's see here. There can be reactions in the limbs and face, huge physical contortions of the arms, legs, and face. And basically, some people that are possessed, their face may change. It'll change shapes, their arms may move funny. It's kind of like if you watch The Exorcism. It's not that crazy, but we've seen it where people's faces will crumple up or look disfigured. Sometimes when we walk into a home with a demonic presence, there will be an infestation of bugs, rodents, or any form of infestation of an animal. That happens on occasion. But when we deal with demonic cases, it doesn't matter if it's what we consider a low-level demon to a higher-level demon. Sometimes the signs are the same, sometimes they're different. So we've been into cases where it's nothing but low-level demons. We'll get smells of sulfur, and sometimes we don't. And sometimes we go in what we consider a general demon, and it may be yay and nay with the signs. It's always different. It's just depending on how they want to manifest. Defending ourselves against demonic attack. I usually tell people it's just living a good, positive life, a good faith life, a good prayer life, a good moral life, a sacramental life. Focus yourself on positive things instead of the negative. Even though you have negative things happen in your life, remain focused on the positive. And that's the hardest thing for us to do. I recently had a friend whose wife passed away, and even though it was a trying time for him, he knew that she was in a better place, and he still praised God. It is still remaining on the positive, because he knew that, yes, I'm grieving, but if I dwell too long in the grief, that can draw things to me. Demons like to take advantage of people. Me and Harlan had a case down in Lawton. Those were general demons, low-level demons. There was 84 demonic spirits in this lady's house, and we had a hard time convincing her that she needed to get out of that grieving stage. We understood she was grieving because she had a family member die, but she still had to remain focused on the positive, because we would cast it out and then she would invite it back in because she was terrified of it. I just recommend that people with like I said, we deal with demonic entities on a day-to-day basis. Most demons that we deal with are low-level demons. So, you know, that little whisper in your ear saying, go steal that. Well, that's a low-level demon trying to convince you to do something wrong, because we all have free will. But we normally rebuke it, like, I ain't gonna do that. And we go on with our business, because that entity is not strong enough to convince you to do something wrong. When you go to church, or whatever your religious belief is, most of the time, if you go to a Christian church, the first thing that you're taught is to rebuke the devil. They don't get into really great detail about it, but they warn people that you're going to get attacked by the devil, and you need to rebuke him. Everybody's on a different level when it comes to spirituality. Most people that go to church, they're not ready to handle like higher level demonic forces. Most of the time, we're usually trained in church to handle the low level stuff. For the atheist or non-believer, to have a moral life is huge. Are atheists at a higher risk? Possibly. But evil is always looking for people with no relationships or broken relationships. So one can be a Christian or a light worker and even be baptized and still have demonic problems. And a lot of it happens because doors get opened either by the person that it's being affected, or something else can invite it in. Baptism does give us somewhat of a protection, but it does not mean that God does not also permit our free will. Most people I see are Christians, not all, but most, who had all kinds of demonic issues because of making bad decisions, and sometimes the decisions they didn't have nothing to do with can bring it on. The case that we had down in Lawton, now this lady was a church-going lady. She went to church every Wednesday, every Sunday. You walked in her house, it was like walking into grandma's house. There was angel pictures posted. She had Bibles in almost every room. She was just your normal, loving grandma that believed in God. But she had her grandson. It was her grandson, wasn't it?
It was her grandson.
He moved into the house, and what she didn't know, that he was performing rituals in her bathroom. She had no clue whatsoever. So he decided, there's a mirror in the bathroom, I'm going to have another mirror set up right behind me, which when you have two mirrors facing each other, it causes a portal or a vortex. So he was using one of her pendants to summon someone, and it ended up bringing the demonic entity in her home. Well, the demon wasn't focused on him, because he lived a sinful life. Demonic entities look at it like, I already got him. she's a threat. She's a holy roller. She goes to church every day, and I'm going to bring her down because she's a threat. And so it focused more on her than it did him. So she was the one that was getting physically attacked. She was the one that was getting growled at and seeing apparitions and stuff. And they just kind of blew her mind. She would go to church and talk to the church pastor about it. Most churches don't know how to handle that stuff. Most of the time a church will tell you, like, okay, we'll pray for you. Or we may come by your house and pray. But most of the time when it comes with hardcore demonic activity, they really don't know how to handle it. We get calls a lot from churches about demonic cases. And they'll ask us to go in and do an investigation to see if it's actually something there and see if it's something we can take care of. The Catholic Church is known to contact paranormal groups to investigate a location to see if it's demonic or haunted. The paranormal group will get back with the Catholic Church, and then the Catholic Church goes and does their exorcism, whatever it is to do. Is it dangerous for non-Christians to accept exorcism? I think God respects the authority of churches and people of faith that use the name of Jesus Christ. PIO has team members of all religious faiths that assist with exorcisms and home cleansings. My paranormal team, I have several ordained ministers on my team of different religious beliefs. Most of them are positive. Some are on the team for research purposes only. For say if we go on, I have a Luciferian on my team. So I may have a case where there may be devil worship or Satan worship, and she will let me know if, yeah, this is what this is what's caused this activity, and that way we know how to handle it. On occasion, Paranormal Investigations Oklahoma will receive calls or emails from other churches, traditions, and religious beliefs, because demonic activity is happening more and more now within other denominations, and they don't know what to do. They really don't know what to do because exorcism is not part of their theology. PIO has clients from several different religious and cultural backgrounds. If a client has a different religious background other than Christianity, we'll cleanse and bless the home to accommodate their religious beliefs. If the client has a religious belief that is unknown to us, then PIO will contact an outside source that will accommodate to the need of the clients. I've been studying demonology for a long time. One person I like to study is John Zappis, and he's been on tons of demonic cases. In each cases that he goes on, he's seen different people of different religious beliefs coming in and cleanse the home. It didn't happen to be just Christian based. We've seen it where shamans have come in, or Buddhist priests have come in and still cleanse the home. It all boils down to positive and negative energies. Again, I'm not trying to step on anybody's religious beliefs. I know everybody believes differently about things. Our minds are very open when it comes to religion, because we all know it taps into the supernatural one way or another. How to deal with demonic energies. Most demonic cases that PIO investigates are what we consider low-level demonic oppressions. Demonic possession is very rare, but it still exists. So this is just my paranormal team's classification of demonic energies. Some people that investigate the demonic may have a different theory behind it, which is fine. This is just our interpretation of it. Of course, anytime you're a paranormal researcher or an investigator, you can ask Jim. Our ideas change all the time. He may discover something out in the field and say, this is different, and then we're like, wow, and we move forward with that idea. So let's talk about low-level demonic beings. People deal with low-level demons on a day-to-day basis. The majority of the time, people will not even notice them. Whispers in the ear to do bad things. Low-level demons can be easily rebuked. The first thing that we're taught in church is to rebuke the devil. A devil is a low-level demonic entity. Now, some people view Lucifer, Satan, and the devil as the same being. Most demonologists look at a devil as a demon. That's what they consider a demon. My personal belief, Satan and Lucifer are two separate individuals. Okay? Lucifer was the one that was cast out of heaven. Satan actually can go between heaven and earth. If you read in the Bible in Job, Satan actually goes to heaven to speak with God before he goes and tempts Job. During an oppression of a home or person, normally more than one low-level demonic entity will oppress the environment. They gain power in numbers and will appear in legions. We had a case in Lawton where we had 84 demonic entities in the home. All demonic entities feed off of fear, anger, and grief. Low-level demonic entities will lie to you. It's just in their nature. They will try to deceive the exorcist and try to say that they're a stronger demon. A couple days ago, I went with another paranormal team to a house to do a cleansing, and the demonic entity tried to claim it was something that it wasn't. It tried to claim it was this big, bad demon from Hindu religion, and I'll get into a little bit of that here in a little bit. But it tried to pretend it was something stronger than it wasn't. Trying to scare us out of the house, or to try to treat the situation differently. Now, when we go and do our exorcisms, we try to get a name of the demonic being, and it usually takes us a while. They don't want us to give us a name, because once we have the name, we take stronger control over them. So if they give us a name like Beelzebub, then we'll use that name to rebuke it. Low-level demons, we normally don't need a name, because anybody can cast out a low-level demon. But again, when it comes with low-level demons, they try to lie and they try to manipulate. Next, we're going to get into what we consider generals or high-ranking demons. These are entities that are known in every religious belief and have many names. Some of these demonic entities are ancient in origin and have deceived mankind into thinking that they're gods and goddesses. Again, I'm not trying to step on people's toes. I know people have different religious beliefs. I'm not saying every god and goddess is a demon. I'm just saying that they are known to manipulate people in pretending that they used to be gods or goddesses. These entities are very strong. They can oppress a home or a person by themselves and have many legions of low-level demons to assist them. These entities, after being exorcised, will try to come back to the client to test their faith, and normally come back stronger with more legions. Now, there's been a case out there, and I can't remember who the Catholic priest was, but he went and investigated a home. They thought they were having a regular haunting together. So the priest came in, he did a cleansing, he used his holy water, but when he was using his holy water, the demon was turning the holy water into blood. And then he started realizing that, okay, this is something worse. And then the children started seeing it, and then started drawing pictures of what it looked like, and he ended up started doing research on what this demonic demon was. He finally went in with a paranormal team. They did an investigation, and they got a name of this demonic entity. Wait, he ended up discovering this demonic entity was a demon from Jewish mysticism. And he's trying to think to himself, now why would a demon from Jewish mysticism be in this home? So he started doing more research on the home, found out this home used to be a center where they used to do abortions. Well, this particular demon that was in the home was known in Jewish mysticism where people would sacrifice little kids and babies to it to please it. And then everything started coming together. So he went in, they did the exorcism, and they got rid of it. The case I was telling you about that I helped with this paranormal team recently, I went in and it represented itself as a Hindu goddess. I ended up having to call Harlan on it because I'm not big into Hinduism, so I don't know much about it. And Harlan was like, there's no reason a Hindu god or goddess should be there. More likely it's lying to you. And sure enough, that's basically what it was. It was lying, trying to convince me it's something stronger, hoping that I would leave. But went in, did the exorcism, didn't even put up a fight. Next, things that we see for evil spirits is what we consider damned souls. Now, this is very rare for a paranormal investigator or researcher or exorcist to run into. Damned souls are very rare to find during a demonic case. Damned souls used to be a human being, but their life of evil and lack of forgiveness prevents them from crossing over. An example of a damned soul is Judas Iscariot. During my research in demonology, priests have run into Judas Iscariot who has possessed people. He's usually got demons backing him up. And he's usually hard to get out. So damned souls would be Judas Iscariot. I've never heard of Hitler or anything like that. But if somebody's done so much great evil that they pretty much have the same power as a demon. There's a case at Griffin Memorial Hospital. There is a spirit there of a guy who used to be a rapist and a murderer, and he's pretty much got the same powers as a demonic entity, which I have a recording of him where he attacks one of our psychic mediums. So they do exist, but it's very, very rare. You're more likely going to run into Bigfoot before you run into a damn soul. Okay? Fight evil with positive energy. People have the authority over the demonic. The hardest part during the demonic case is convincing the client that they have authority of themselves and their environment. If a person is focused on the negative, then your environment will be polluted with the negative energies. If a person is focused on the positive, even when bad things happen, then their environments will remain positive. It really doesn't matter on what religious belief or items being used in the cleansing or blessing. It is the positive energy, prayers, and the intent that matters. Now, when I go and do a cleansing or a blessing of a home, if I'm in a bad mood, or I'm not feeling well, I will not do the cleansing. I will call somebody else to do it or reschedule it. Harlan, he can tell you, he's a minister as well. He will not do a cleansing or a blessing if he's in a negative mood. We have our negative moments. We're human beings. It's just how we deal with it. But if I feel like I'm too negative, I will not do it because it's not going to do that person any good if I'm in there trying to sage or cleanse or use holy water if I'm in a bad mood and have a negative intent. That's not positive. It's not Christ-like. PIO is always respectful to all ghosts, spirits, and even angelic and demonic beings. Before any exorcism, we are basically in negotiations with the negative entities. We normally try to get the entity to leave on their own or cross over during any exorcisms. The exorcism is the forcing the spirit out and is usually very unpleasant for the spirit. Demons will get punished for failing in their mission, and they do not want to go through the punishment. That's why it's normally very difficult during an exorcism to get the demon to leave, especially if somebody's being possessed, because they know once they are removed, they're immediately shipped off. Either they go back to Lucifer or whatever evil being they came from, and they get punished for failing in their mission. Most low-level exorcisms can be resolved in a matter of hours or days. Higher energy demonic activity may not be resolved for years or not at all. Usually a type of truce is made between the entity and the client just to reduce the activity. There's been some cases with exorcists, they'll go into a home and they're not able to get rid of the demon. It's either because the client won't allow it to leave, or there's a higher agenda that we just can't understand. So basically a truce is made where we say, okay, if you're going to linger around, you need to leave her alone. We don't like doing that, but sometimes we have to, because there's probably another reason. We don't know why she's being plagued, or a man's being plagued by this demonic entity. We just don't know why. In some situations, the demonic oppression or possession cannot be resolved either due to the client is allowing the activity to continue or an unknown reason with only a higher power can resolve. I kind of think back in the Bible with Legion. The story of Legion is a man that's possessed by all these demons, and then Christ casts those demons out into the pigs. I think there was a reasoning behind that, and it was to teach us. Legion, we ran into Legion before. Now, some of these ancient evils from the Bible we have actually ran into. We've ran into demonic entities from other cultures. We had a case down in Muskogee where we ran into Legion. He said his name 2 or 3 times. And it's just ancient evil, but Legion is just a multitude of low-level demons. And I think within the Bible, when it was speaking of Legion, it was trying to teach us a lesson that these are low-level demons. You can cast them out. The Bible even speaks of instances where the disciples have tried to cast demons out using Christ's name. The demons didn't leave, so they brought the person to Christ. Christ gets rid of it immediately, and they ask Christ, well, how come I couldn't get rid of them? And Christ tells them, well, some take more time and more prayer. So sometimes there is a time frame, and there may be a reasoning for that demonic entity to be there. One thing to kind of think about, we're all made out of energy. We're all made out of God source energy. That includes angels and demons. And there is a scripture in the Bible where it's in Isaiah, and I can't think of the exact scripture. I don't have it in front of me. But it speaks of God created lightness and darkness, and He created good and evil. And that's a pretty powerful statement. So God created angels, He created demons. Demons are evil. God created that. And again, I'm not trying to step on people's toes, but the energy that demons use is God's source energy. They just pervert it. What is sin? Sin is a perversion of good. We can take something good and make it bad, but on the same account, we can get something bad and turn it into something good. So I always believe there's some type of higher power when we're dealing with evil cases. Maybe it's to help the person to learn a lesson, or maybe it's to help somebody else learn a lesson. A lot of times we just don't know why, and we just, that higher power, we just keep focused on it. Get back. These types of situations can only be dealt with prayer and continual focus of positive energies. Most clients that live in an oppressed home usually move out of the environment, leaving the entity in the home. An oppressed person will have the entity attached to them until the situation can be resolved. I got some EVPs here I want to play for you, but before I do that, does anyone have any questions? Sorry if I sound like I rushed it. I'm not big into speaking. I'm not used to speaking, so hopefully it didn't sound like I was being rushed.
I'm really scared now. So basically what we can do is live to avoid all this, live a clean life, and refuse to accept it.
Well, here's the deal. There's no reason for you to be scared. Everybody, when they picture demons, they think of these big monsters that are out to destroy you. But their purpose is to destroy you, but you're not supposed to fear it.
And when I get up there and start my lecture, it'll go way into more detail on everything what you just asked.
And again, there's reason. Me and Harlan, we haven't even talked about our speakers and things are going to go inside. People ask me, Harlan, all the time, aren't you scared when you go into demonic cases? No, because I already know Christ has already won the victory. When I go in, I already know that demon, that devil, or whatever, it's already been defeated. It's written in Scripture, and a lot of religious beliefs know there's always a positive outcome. There's some religious beliefs that have a negative outcome, but very rare. Me as a Christian, though, I already know there's already a positive outcome. Christ has already won the victory. The Bible already says, why should I worry? You know, it's just, the problem is these demons, they have free will just the same as we do. They just haven't grasped the point that they lost. Even when Christ was crucified, he was a powerful light worker and a healer, and he came to bear our sins. They were still fighting against him then, thinking if we kill him off, the people have no one to go to. And then he gets resurrected from the dead. He takes their sins away. And they still didn't get it. And demons, even though they're immortal, there's no sense of time for them, but they can predict somewhat of the future, but not to the end. It's not like higher power like God or Christ or an ascended master. They are the Alpha and the Omega. They already know what's going to happen. It's just convincing them that you're not going to win because you already lost.
Okay,
Did you have a question?
yeah, it's more of a statement. On 60 Minutes, they were interviewing Bob Dylan, and they asked him why he kept performing, because here he is, very, very old, and he indicated that he signed a contract with the big guy. And Katy Perry has also come forward, supposedly over 250,000 entertainers and performers and movie stars have signed that contract. Lady Gaga was only able to make $1 million or something a year, and other people were telling her, if you signed a contract, and she did, she signed it, and now she's making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. They've all sold their soul. And supposedly you can't be anybody in Hollywood without selling your soul.
Oh, Eminem's also made that statement too.
And, well...
Here's the deal.
They won't put you in a movie. You can never be a lead actor. If you sing songs, you cannot go anywhere. I'm thinking maybe that's why after people win The Voice or these things, you never hear from them again, because they won't sign their soul away like others. But
The Catholic Church, they look at it as anyone that gets possessed, they sign a contract with the devil. We can allow something to possess us, but before a demon can possess you, the demon has to go to you and they basically show up and say, you know, your life just sucks. Things are terrible for you. I can make it better for you. All you have to do is just sign on the dotted line. Allow me to just take you over and just rule your life for you. And you're like, okay, you sign it over. And then they got to go to God and get His permission. And it sounds kind of odd, but everything's still in God's control. And there's always reasonings for it.
because, I mean, they have the TV show Lucifer, and they keep having more and more. I mean, you go to a family video, and there's nothing there but bad stuff, and people, I mean, it's really scary to even go try to find a decent movie you can enjoy with the family, and it's just, it looks like, and then especially on Super Bowl, they, at halftime, that's why it's so big, is all the people that have sold their soul, at halftime, they turn off the lights, and it's done usually on Groundhog's Day, which is a pagan holiday for well, anyway, they're welcoming Satan across the bridge. They have their candles, and it's all done and supposedly everybody's watching that halftime is, if they go across that bridge in their mind, they've just entered the realm of,
Now,
and the last, what is it, the Grammys, just before, and there's always sacrifices. When they sacrifice, it's always got to be a popular person, and it comes in threes, and it's just, and there's people that are worshiping these demons. There's a certain group,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
and it's all Hollywood, and Hollywood's all owned by this certain group. They own all the media. It's all over. Their symbols are all over. Every time you turn on the TV, the symbols are there, and it's just
Oh, it's become
The
a,
dark side of the Illuminati is what it is.
yeah.
it is
Because it
scary.
has both light and dark.
Oh yeah, even at the mall, I work at the mall, and kids are wearing Thrasher t-shirts for a skateboarding company, and not realizing they're wearing a satanic emblem on the back of their jacket, because they think it's style, and they're not really grasping what's going on. A lot of misconceptions also is, people think that, well, once you sign that contract with the devil, it's done. Well, actually, God can sever the contract. Because when you sign a contract, it's a sin. Every sin has been forgiven. All you have to do is ask for forgiveness. I have people ask me in Harlan, can demons be forgiven? Yeah, they can. Because they're angels, but they have negative intent. But if a demon really wanted to ask for forgiveness, it could. They just choose not to. See what I'm saying? Because we're all children of a higher force. Again, I'm trying not to step on people's religious beliefs. But for me, being part of the Universal Life Church, you know, you mentioned paganism. Everybody assumes, oh, if you're pagan, you're a devil worshiper. No, it's not. Paganism has nothing to do with devil worship whatsoever. It's a misconception of some of the churches and some of their beliefs, because it's either, most Christianity, it's either God or the devil. It's either black and white. So there's several different religious beliefs out there, but you have to remember it's just their interpretation of the supernatural, and they're trying to explain it. And sometimes they try to explain it as, well, the crops are going bad, it must mean one of the gods or goddesses are mad. They're just trying to explain it, because things are happening, and a lot of stuff normal people are not supposed to know. Some of us start figuring it out, but not everybody is supposed to know, because everybody's not on the same spiritual level. So I don't expect a new person in church to have the same spiritual level as Harlan or myself, because they're not spiritually ready. I heard a story from a friend of mine who went to church, and she said somebody entered into the church that was obviously possessed. Well, the preacher immediately stopped what he was doing, confronted the gentleman, and went ahead and removed him. And she was asking, well, why didn't you just bring him on in? And he goes, well, it's because you guys are not spiritually ready to handle this yet. He wasn't trying to force the guy out, because he knew that it was just evil trying to come in and corrupt. But he knew they weren't spiritually ready yet. And of course, when you get somebody that's possessed, they're normally possessed with 2 or more demons. Go ahead.
Why do you say he was obviously possessed?
I guess it was just the way he was coming in. They were either feeling his energy. She said he had a foul smell to him, like a rotten smell to him. Some people that are possessed will put off a sulfur smell, or they'll have a bad energy about them. People that are possessed, you'll know it. You'll see it. I've actually, when I worked at the mall, I had a guy come in, he was possessed, and he was walking towards me, and I could just feel his energy. And the closer I got to him, I started smelling the sulfur on him. Now, here's a guy I haven't even met, but he literally came close, like face to face with me. He says, I know who you are. And I said, I know who you are also. And he just walked off. This is a random person I had never met. But it was just evil coming in with good. He just wanted to let me know that, oh,
They present themselves to us all the time.
they represent, yeah, they
Everybody,
show
they
themselves.
present themselves to you, to me, to anybody else every day.
Well, they say that Beyonce has taken in one of Satan's, I didn't know he had 3 daughters, but evidently she's taken in one of his daughters. And she says it from time to time, what her name is, but she's in your face with it. And she
Yeah.
says, those things I do on stage, I could never do, but she can't.
Yeah.
So it's like, so I wonder if she's supposed to make self-work.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they make deals. I mean, if you watch the news, It seems like negativity is just going crazy. We're living in a society now where people have no morals anymore. People are not kind to each other. There's so much evil in the world right now. Normally when we get called a demonic case, we normally get 1 or 2 a year. This year, we've already had 10, which is very, very rare.
And we're only in the 10th month.
Well,
Yeah.
I hear April and October are the veil is very thin in those 2 months.
Yeah, it usually is.
October 31st is the thinnest. It's May 1st that is the second thinnest.
But the biggest problem is the summoning portion of it. People don't realize the dangers into summoning spirits and what they bring onto themselves, because most of the time when you watch videos of kids using Ouija boards, they get possessed very easily. Kids are very susceptible to the supernatural anyway. And when you see them, they're just jumping around, having fun, and then boom, things start moving. One problem that we had a call on a couple of years ago was a game these kids were playing. It was called Charlie Charlie. And basically they had a piece of paper, they drew a cross on it, and they had yes and no written on the paper. And they put 2 pencils down, and they were calling forth a Mexican demon to appear to them and answer their questions. And they were asking questions like, am I going to die? Are you going to kill me? And of course, it was responding back. And then they were getting activity in homes where doors were opening and closing, and it was scaring them. And it was a summoning ritual. And again, you don't have to have a Ouija board. You could be in grief and be in your home by yourself, and you're just calling out to the universe, I need help. Somebody come help me. And something's going to answer the call. It could be something positive, but most times it's going to be something negative that's going to show up and affect you. Harlan, he does a lot of energy work. He works with people, and a lot of situations you get, isn't it? It just boils down to
About
people.
everybody I work with, I pull negative energies or negative spirits from.
They're calling for the wrong, It's one thing if you're grieving and you go to church or you go to a temple or whatever like that, and you bring on the positive energies to help you. But when you're out there and you're just calling out for anything can show up and appear to you. I'm going to go ahead and play some of these recordings that we got. These are from some of the demonic cases. I just kind of threw them all together. Demonic entities, we can either get them disembodied or even through EVP. They manipulate our electronic devices also. Demons basically can do anything a ghost can do. They just little higher power to manifest. So I'm going to play some of these things for you. This one here is actually from Griffin Memorial Hospital. We were with a psychic medium named Dee Parks, and we ran into what we considered a damned soul. And he always tries to represent himself as a demon. We always tell him, you're not a demon, but we know who you are and what kind of power you have. This entity actually physically assaulted her. He did something to her ear, but you'll hear her respond, and she screams out in pain about her ear, and then there's a response. We get an EVP right after that. Here towards the end, he says something like nasty and perverted, like, come here, baby. This one here is from a demonic case down in Lawton. Me and Harlan, we were in there just doing the investigation. We were trying to get the name of whatever demonic entity was in the home. It was one of those strange cases because it seemed like it was a spiritual battleground. This is the first time we actually got angels speaking on recorder, which is very, very rare. Usually when you get anything angelic speaking, it sounds like singing. It's just how they communicate and how they talk. Most of the time you notice any type of angelic beings being around you because your ears will ring. Unless you have an ear ringing problem. But when we go out on a case, if we get ear ringing, we know there's either angels or demonic entities around us, as it's that high pitched vibration. So this here, you'll hear me and Harlan talking. We had a spirit box going. We had a Faraday cage over the spirit box. A Faraday cage blocks out all radio signals coming into the radio. A spirit box is nothing but a radio that scans frequencies at a very high pace. So I can stick my cell phone in there and I won't get any signals. No one can call in or
We
out.
also had the ghost radio going at that time too, so you'll hear the ghost radio too.
So basically what you're going to hear, you're going to hear the spirit box. You'll hear it go then you'll hear the angels singing, and then you'll hear us responding to that, and then you'll hear a demonic growl right after that, because the angels are basically telling the demon, come with me, and the demon's hissing at it. You hear that? I heard that's angels singing.
Said exercise, leave.
I'll play it again for you. You hear that? I heard that's angels singing.
Said exercise, leave.
The,
Can I add something to that? As soon as we were done with this and we did the house cleansing, we went out in the backyard of this place and we found feathers everywhere. Dark feathers, white feathers, the whole backyard was just covered in feathers. This was an angelic demon war going on in this house.
That gave me chills. Listen to that.
this here is a Class B EVP where the demon is saying, telling Harlan to leave, and then you hear a hiss. It's kind of hard to hear, but the demon's telling Harlan to leave. This one was the case in Yukon.
Yukon, that's the one that called me by name.
Yeah, it called you by name. This one here is during the case down in, it was either Lawton or Geronimo, but it was during the exorcism of the house, and I'm trying to get the name of the demon, and then the demon responds. In the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name. I'll play it again. In the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name.
Say Paul.
No, it says calling my name. So I basically say, in the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name. And then it says, calling my name. I'll play it again. In the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name.
Which investigation was that?
The Lawton
That
one.
was in Lawton also?
Yeah.
That one was a higher ranking general.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
We
very
didn't have a scary voice.
No, but a
Sometimes they do,
higher-ranking
sometimes they
general
don't.
Actually controls 63 legions and a legion, or 66 legions, and a legion is 13 or more. So, of demons. So, yeah.
This is one, I'm not going to say the demon's name, but the demon actually says his name.
Yes, he does.
In the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name. not going to say its name because I don't want to give it any
Power.
get any power. Yeah.
In the name of Jesus Christ, tell me your name.
This one's just a demonic growl. If you can call it a growl. This is a demonic hiss.
It's really going to depend on what kind of movies are right there, on whether this room is also a trap.
A lot of times it'll go by real fast. Sometimes they're kind of hard to hear. This one's a demonic hiss towards the end.
So, not on this wall. What's on the outside? Is there any kind of, like, the decorations that are on the walls out there? Is there anything like that on this wall on the outside?
Just there, just so you know.
Okay.
And that, whatever's on the front porch is here when we moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can. There it is. Now, most of the time people ask us when it comes with demonic growling, does it sound like an animal? And actually, no, it doesn't. It actually sounds like a person doing it. This one, the ghost meter goes off, and then the demon says die. I'll play it again. This one here, this is one of the craziest things. When I heard this one, I literally just threw the headphones off. This one here, the demon says he walks with Jesus, and then the obelisk says Jesus, and then an investigator says, how do you feel about Kale being an ordained minister? And the demon says, make him leave.
Jesus.
Do you recognize that Kale's a preacher?
That's probably like our strongest one for the demonic.
And that one was actually pretty loud. It was actually a Class A, I believe.
Yeah, it was Class A.
We all heard it without having to listen to it on the playback.
This particular home, when I did the exorcism, right when I finished, it blew out 2 light bulbs and knocked the power out.
Jesus.
Do you recognize that Kale's a preacher?
This one here, we're doing the exorcism and blessing of the home. The demon says, make him stop.
My face from my sins and put out all my misdeeds. Make me clean of heart, O Lord, and renew right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy holy
This one here, the demon says, I'm burning and growling during the exorcism.
Thou shalt purge me with hyssop, O Lord, I shall be clean. Thou shalt wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
Yeah, we had one more that said, help me, I'm burning, I'm on fire.
Yeah, this one says, it says my body is burning.
My body's burning.
This one is where the demon says, Save me from the fire. This one here, we're using the spirit box. Now, when we deal with general demons, they will also lie and say they're bigger than what they are. So if we get a low-level demon, it'll give us a name of a general. If we deal with the general, guess whose name that he gives us?
The big guy?
To any spirits here, do you know the name of the demon? Maybe a little touchy now. They may not know. Lucifer. What? It said Lucifer. No, it said it on the spirit box.
No. Going, what?
Yeah, you can hear the investigators freaking out because not normally you go on an investigation and the demon says his name is Lucifer. I'll play it again.
To any spirits here, do you know the name of the demon? Maybe a little touchy now. They may not know. Lucifer.
What?
It said Lucifer. No, it said it on the spirit box.
No.
No. Lucifer.
This one here, we asked what its name is, and it says it's fear. Now, fear is also a name of a demonic being. It sounds kind of weird. Have you ever heard of like sexual deviants? A sexual deviant is like a succubus or an incubus, okay? They're just a form of a sexual deviant. A lot of cases that we get from clients from cleansings and exorcisms, they have a sexual deviant attached to them. Some sexual deviants, they travel through the family. So if their dad was molested by someone, he may molest his kids, and they molest their kids, and that demon just piggyback rides through the generations. It's a low-level demonic being. That's all it is. But fear is considered a spirit. The Bible speaks of fear as being a spirit. This is a case down in Lawton. We asked its name, and it identifies itself as fear.
What is your name?
I'll play it again.
What is your name?
Well, he enunciated that very well.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure we know who he was. There's others, but I don't want to take up too much time for the other speakers. Does anybody else have any other questions? I know it's a lot to kind of take in.
Well, I watched this movie, and I'm sure everybody has seen it. Bed Knobs and Broomsticks. It's a Disney movie.
I don't think I've seen it, but I've heard.
Well, after watching it, I went to the internet and what's yesterday? And it's saying because they're talking about the star of Astaroth, and was looking on the internet and was saying Astaroth was a demon. He was riding a dragon, and in the movie they keep repeating over and over what's on the star of Astaroth, which is, according to the internet, these words to summon him. And I felt weird after watching the movie, and it's like, well, gee, Christmas.
The fun part for us, we've learned with dealing with demonic cases, is that we have to dive in other religious beliefs too. I mean, demonic entities will represent themselves as gods and goddesses and stuff like that. And a lot of that's been twisted. your first thought when you think of the devil or a demon, you see the little guy with horns and a tail. Well, that's not actually what he looks like. They ripped that off of paganism because, again, a lot of Christians, and you got to go back into history.
Yeah.
You know, when Christianity was sweeping the world, they were trying to convert other people into their religious belief. So when they ran into paganism, what they were trying to do is blend paganism with Christianity, because they realized they couldn't force pagan people to agree with their beliefs. So what they tried to do is intermingle their religious beliefs with Christianity. It just helped them convert more people. So there were gods and goddesses that had horns and a tail. And I don't know their names. Harlan would know more about that stuff. But they'd say, oh, these are demons. And that's how they would describe what a demonic entity looks like. Well, a demon is nothing more than an angel. They're beautiful. Okay? They can disguise themselves as angels of light because they are angels. And a lot of times when we're dealing with the demonic, when you see a demonic entity, depending, you know, it can manipulate you to thinking, I'm an innocent little child or I'm an innocent little ghost, I'm not going to hurt you. But sooner or later, once you're around that energy long enough, your body's going to start communicating with you like, there's something that's not right about this. And then you start seeing its true form. You start seeing it as evil and ugly, and that may not be exactly how it looks like, but it's just how your mind's interpreting it. So some people have claimed they've seen demons with horns, but that's how their mind's been programmed to what a demon's supposed to look like. So, but I don't want to get into too much of these guys.
I want to share a little bit about the Star of Astaroth, okay? The thing is a lot of people don't realize this, that a lot of the books were taken out of the Old Testament. There was 14 books taken out of the Old Testament. One of them was the Keys of Solomon. Now, the Keys of Solomon is still in the Catholic Bible, but it's taken out of all the other Bibles. The Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon, King Solomon was a very, very well-known prophet in the Christian religion and the Judaism religion. So he used these symbols to actually trap what they call the jinn, or the fallen angels, or the demons. These symbols were all done astrologically through the sky. So through everything that we have out there in our solar system and beyond, it's all astrologically put together. The Star of Astaroth is a 5-pointed star with a circle around it, and it's got the symbols right there, which are symbols for actually trapping demons, making them where they are not able to be used. In early Christianity, after the crucifixion of Jesus, the Christian church and the Catholic church utilized this symbol to actually bring the pagans, because this was a pagan belief symbol also. The pagan symbol of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So they used this symbol to bring pagans into the church because they wanted to try to do away with paganism, because paganism was the only religion they had before Christianity and all the others came in. They wanted to bring the Christians in. But this was a symbol that they used back in King Solomon's day to trap the demonics. They used the symbol for 750 years in the Christian church. And then they transferred after that to, I'm not wearing my cross. They transferred after that to the Holy Cross.
Get this rolling.
We manifest, we attract things. As spiritual beings, we attract the things that come to us. So when we have spiritual activity, we have angels, demons, we have positive, negative energy. It's all based in attraction, which is one of the main laws of the universe when you delve into metaphysics and things like that. I'm going to qualify myself just a little bit before I go into depth on this. I was born in 1960 I'm going to go back in history. my mom's family are all hellfire and brimstone Methodist preachers. As far back as it goes, as far back as I can find, they're all preachers, every one of them. My mom did not, she rebelled against the church. She was one of them that practiced witchcraft, paganism. And she, on my dad's side, now his family were all, his dad, which is my grandfather, and my great-grandfather's dad, which was my great-great-grandfather, they were Pentecostal preachers. So I've got Pentecostal on one side, and I've got the Methodist on the other, and then my mother being practicing pagan. She told me the one thing when I was born was that I actually had a healing energy about me. I had a certain light. And when people that came around were sick, I would take on their afflictions, they would get better, and I would be better within a day or two. When all of the research that I've done, that tells me I was born shamanic. My great-grandfather on my dad's side was full-blood Lakota Sioux. His dad, which was my great-great-grandfather, they came from the north in a covered wagon through the northern plains, and they found him walking, and he was just wearing Indian garb and no shoes, and didn't speak any English, and they picked him up and took him to Oklahoma. So that's my ancestry, and they say that the Indian tribes are really connected with spirit. So that's where my connection with spirit comes from, I believe, is through that connection. I am a quarter Lakota Sioux myself. I don't look it, but in the summertime my skin turns bright red, and people think I'm burnt. It's not that. It's part of my heritage. My mother told me as I was growing up that I didn't have to believe anything that anybody had to tell me about anything, because what happens when we come into this world, we come into this world knowing. We have a knowing. We know everything there is to know when we come in here, and we get told we don't, and then we just agree to that. Making agreements with ourselves or with other people about what we think we know or what we think we don't know is part of the law of attraction. When we agree to something, we attract that vibration. So she told me that she would take me anywhere, any churches I wanted to go to. She would drop me off, pick me back up. I want you to seek knowledge, is what she said. Knowledge. So that was my childhood, seeking knowledge. I went to every denomination of church, including the Buddhist and the Far East Indian, even the Muslim. I mean, I checked out all of the different Bibles. I asked questions. I never could get any of the preachers to answer my questions, because the questions I asked were questions that everybody else was afraid to ask. And usually I got told that I couldn't come back, because I was giving them questions that they just couldn't answer. So I started digging into the metaphysics. That's where I found stuff about demonology. I found a lot about transcendental meditation, out-of-body experiences. My great-grandfather on my mom's side, that was the Methodist preacher, was also considered a water witch here in Oklahoma. He drilled water wells in northern Oklahoma and southern Kansas, and he has been the only driller that has actually drilled artesian wells that are still working today, that are still pulling water up out of the ground naturally. He showed me how to divine. He showed me how to use the willow stick, and how to use the divining rods, and how to use the pendulums. And this was from a preacher. And most other churches would say that this is evil, it's bad, we shouldn't do this. But he saw the gift. He saw the thirst for knowledge. I continued to search everything that I could, religious-wise, metaphysical-wise, spiritual-wise. In 1974, I was 14 years old, and I was in a room where people were actually using a Ouija board. I was not using it, but I was in the room, a gifted light worker, healer, and what they called for possessed me. There was about 2 weeks out of my life that I don't remember. My mother actually contacted the Catholic Church in Rome, and they actually brought a priest out to do an exorcism. So there was 2 weeks of my life that's gone, I don't remember anything about, but when I came out of that, I could see energies, I could feel energies, I knew exactly what was coming in, I could see things, I feel things within myself. That just made me a better healer, is what it did. But over from the time that exorcism was done, about the time I turned 18, I went in the military, and I started being told that all of these things that I had learned throughout digging through the metaphysical books and everything was wrong. And if I kept on talking about it, they were saying you're bucking the system. So I had to stop. I started feeling like, okay, well, maybe they're right. So I blocked myself off, and I stopped. My gift just kind of went away. Everything went away. I no longer could see the energies. I could no longer feel the energies. And it wasn't until about 23 years ago, I dug back in, and I said, you know, this was a gift, and I need it back. Let me have this gift back. I pray to God, give me this gift back. I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't consider myself a Jew. I don't consider myself any of these other religions, because through the studies that I did, it shows me that religions are a form of separation. Just like God outside of us is a form of separation. We are not separate from anything. We are all together. We're all one. And so that's kind of my belief as an omnist. I did go through periods of time where I claimed myself as a pagan, I claimed myself as a Baptist, I claimed myself as a Christian, I claimed myself as a Jew. I mean, I did all of those things that I was studying, I claimed myself as. But I no longer claim myself as any of those, because to me it is separation. And we're not supposed to be separate. Now, that leads into the manifestation, it leads into the law of one. Whatever we dwell on the most is what we bring into our lives. And what we dwell on most subconsciously is actually what we bring into our lives. Most people will say, I didn't ask for that robber to come over and beat me in the head and hurt me. But subconsciously, you did. Subconsciously, there was something saying, please don't let this happen. But the universe or God only says yes, doesn't ever say no. So when you're saying please, the universe doesn't really hear please. They hear happen. Not don't or do, just happen. And that's what I found through my metaphysical studies, is when we look at something as it's already happened, we've already got it. And it says that in all of the Bibles that I've read, that before you shall ask, you shall already have. Which means when you think about it, you already have it. So you don't even have to ask for it. And once you get that thought process going, you're already creating that. So when we have negative things happening in our lives, or we're having negative spirits in our lives and in our presence, it's usually because we're dwelling on something negative. If we're dwelling on something negative has to show up. It doesn't just push away. And when we live in fear, which is the way society is going with you were talking about the TVs and the movies and everything else, it's all to create separation and fear. Separation and fear are the two keys that actually lock us down and put us in bondage. When we get in bondage, then we're at the mercy of the energies that we're attracting. So if we truly want to be free of these negative energies and negative entities that keep coming in our lives, we have to change what we feel. Feeling is the key. But in order to change what we feel, we also have to change the subconscious thought. And that is part of the law of attraction. We attract things, thoughts become things. That's what they say. Thoughts become things. So what we think about becomes manifest in our lives. So if we're thinking, I don't want this robber to rob me, it's not, I don't want this robber to rob me, it's this robber robbing me. And the universe or God or the big genie in the bottle says, your wish is my command, here it is. That is the law of attraction. What we think about most is what we manifest the most. When I study demonology, I don't dwell in the demonology. I understand that I'm doing it as a research, but I don't dwell in it. I research it so I know what I'm dealing with. Just the same thing with spiritual energy. Demon and angel they're both spiritual energy. They're just two sides of the same coin, is what it is. And just like positive and negative is two sides of the same coin. That's part of the duality of existence, is there are two sides to everything. And then the trifold part of the existence, which they talk about as Father, Son, Holy Ghost, it also goes into all of the other religious beliefs, Mother, Maiden, Crone, here, there, and in between. The time before, the time after, and the time right now. I mean, it's all part of the threefold process, which is Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Me, myself, and I are that same thing. So we are connected to God. So what we think about, dwell about, and put out there to the universe is what we get. We can change our lives at any given time by just changing our thoughts and our feelings about what it is that we're doing or what it is that we're thinking. So when people like or the house in Yukon, when people are out there, this other house in Yukon, and I'm not going to say the name of the team, but they were another team that went into another place that brought something back with them. But they were, when they went into this place, they were looking for demonic energies. They found it because they created it. They created it in their own mind, so they automatically had to get it. And they brought it home, and then didn't know what to do with it. That's manifestation. We manifest those things just by what we think we want to do. So when Kale was talking earlier about be careful what you ask for, it's true. Be careful what you think about, because you're actually asking when you think it. Because in the Bible it says straight out, before you even ask the question, or before you even ask for what it is that you want, you shall already have it. That's the thought. The thought starts it. God's always going to say yes, because he sends us down here with free will. You have free will to do whatever. So you pick and choose. So this is manifestation. It's really basic, but it's also kind of complex, because you really have to have an opening in the mind in order to grasp it and hang on to it. and know, I found this over my lifetime. I was doing really good all the way up until I joined the military. So my life was awesome. I had good things going on. After the 14 to the 18, those 4 years, everything was manifesting beautifully, and I had lots of healing, lots of health. I had lots of good things going on in my life, and then all of a sudden, everything went dark. From the military all the way up until I was about 33 years old. So that's 13 years of just living in darkness. The demonic energies coming in again. Because you have the low-level demons all the time, always around us, trying to come to us. And when we have thoughts of things that are negative, we're actually inviting those low-level demons back into our lives. So that's where it just all of a sudden turned dark for me. It turned dark for about 13 years. And I just didn't want to see it anymore. I wanted to close my eyes to it, and I just wanted to live my life and not worry about all that crap. So I shut everything down. But I manifested that. I was seeing it. I was feeling it. I was seeing the spirits. I was seeing the energies, and I just got tired of it. I didn't want to see it anymore. And I said, "I'm done. Let's shut this off, and I don't want no more of this." And thank you. The pressure just shifted. Everything just changed. Yeah, my higher self or the angels or God source, whatever it is, just changed everything in my head just then. Because the thing is when we have an epiphany in our lives, good things happen. And when I came up here today to speak about this, I've done a lot of extensive research on the law of attraction. And it's so true. I mean, you start out when you're looking at doing the law of attraction, you think about the first thing in the morning is, I'd like to manifest a cup of coffee today. Has anybody ever seen The Secret? So you've seen The Secret, so have you tried that? Have you tried to manifest a cup of coffee in your life?
No, but I gave the video to my son and daughter-in-law, and they went from not really having anything to
Having an abundance.
Yes,
Exactly.
and I'm so proud.
Yeah. And that's the key is The Secret is something that like when we were talking about the Bible, they took out certain books out of the Bible. That's the secret. The secret is they don't want you to know the secret. They really don't want you to know it, because it's all powerful to them. They're using it in a negative sense of the word to gain power and control over people. So they hide it from you. They tell you that God is separate from you, that God is mean and vengeful and powerful and going to smite you down if you sin. If you don't do this, or if you don't tithe to the church, or if you don't do this, you're just damned to hell. But it also says in the books that you can be forgiven and all you have to do is ask. But they gloss over that. All they do is this hellfire and brimstone all the time, and then they get you thinking about that, and that's what you bring into your life, is that hellfire and brimstone. I'm so bad because I did this, and now you're beating yourself up. You're that higher power. You're that God source energy flowing through you, and you're making your life hell through manifestation, self-manifestation. And I'm not saying anybody here, I'm just saying that's what I've noticed for myself. I lived in hell for 13 years. And that was 4 years after the exorcism. Now, if you start looking into the religious beliefs, everything in every single religious beliefs, they exercise their instruments before they use them. Every single one of them, including paganism. They have to exorcise them of anything unclean. They exorcise them in the sight of God. They exorcise of all impurities out of whatever water, salt, incense, anything else in your life that you're going to use has to be exorcised. And you pray over your food. You're exercising your food. It's a prayer. So when we say prayer, when we say grace at dinner time, we are saying, thank you. Thank you for this substance. Bless this so that it nourishes us, so that we can stay strong and do the things we came to do. This is actually an exorcism of the negatives in the food. So we exercise everything in our lives to stay that spiritual connection. Now, when we exercise this stuff, we also have to consecrate it. So what do? We consecrate through prayer, same way we exercise. I mean, it's a little different. We're exercising it, getting rid of the negatives. Now we're consecrating it, we're blessing it. So first we give thanks. Gratitude is always a good consecration. When we are grateful, we are in a positive light. And when we are ungrateful, we're in a negative light. So it really boils down to the duality, but the duality didn't exist until God said, okay, I need to know myself. God's just an energy. God was the only thing. How was God going to really know itself until it, or the energy, or him, or her, or whatever you might believe that God is? How is God going to actually know itself unless it made itself into everything? So that's where I've gone to through my studies, and I've been digging a whole lot more into ancient wisdom again, ancient wisdom from different areas. The Toltec wisdom from before in South America. Toltec people were an ancient civilization that knew wisdom. They knew the ancient wisdom. They knew how to manifest like that and be on a positive light and keep the negative away. They knew all this stuff. And it's all through self. Everything is through self. And then you go from South America over into ancient Egypt. They also knew this. You go from ancient Egypt over into India. They also knew this. You go from there over to China. They also knew this. Everybody knew this about the same time frame. But it's been lost through scriptures and through translation. And by taking books out and hiding things from us, that's where it's all been lost. And this is just me. I can't substantiate this right now, but I'm still doing research on it. But I was told through some of my research that I was doing that the mark of the beast that they talk about is not necessarily a physical manifestation of a mark. It is the closed-minded, non-self-awareness. When we close our mind to everything that is out there, we close our mind to God. And that's just my own understanding so far from what I've seen. And when they took before they took those books out, if you look at the whole Bible with all those books, you'll see that God's center is within us. We have the power to change our lives at any given moment like that. We have the energy to change energy. I studied Reiki energy. Reiki is Japanese healing touch energy. I studied that from the time I was 8 years old, 1968. I am a Reiki master teacher. I do healing touch energy. This is all channeled in through ascended masters. An ascended master would be Jesus Christ, would be Buddha, would be Lord Shiva, would be Horus. Would be different different ones have the same energy. So if you look at, when you go into metaphysics and you start looking, Horus was around before Jesus Christ, but Horus did all of the same things that Jesus Christ did, only in a different civilization. But it's the same energy. It's the Christ energy. The Christ energy is a light worker energy or a healing energy. So when we channel healing energy, we're channeling healing energy from ascended masters, and it's not necessarily any one of them. The Celtics ascended master would have been Merlin from King Arthur Day. So, I mean, you've got different ascended masters throughout the ages that knew that energy can be manipulated. And it can be manipulated for bad intent or good intent. But those ascended masters have found a way to utilize the energy that's within, which they call, in China they call yin yang or qi. Your qi is your yin yang energy. You have to have both. You can't just survive with one and not the other. So you have that negative force that's within, and you have a positive force that's within. And if we focus everything into the negative thinking, we're overpowering ourselves with that negative force. So ultimately, we can change our lives just by changing our thought process and what we feel and what we believe. When we believe that we are part of the same whole, the body of Christ or the body of God, that means we are here, we are that. And I don't want to preach to anybody. I am an ordained minister also. I'm Universal Life Church, which is all denominational. So I study all the different beliefs because I need to know it. I've had a thirst for knowledge of ancient wisdom and occult wisdom. I mean, and look at occult wisdom. A lot of people say occult, oh, that's bad. If you look up the word occult, you'll find that it's anything that is a belief in something that is intangible. In other words, religion is also a cult. So when we look at a cult, we're looking at anything that is a belief in something that we don't really see or we don't know. Same thing is true with Scientology. We can see the stars, but we don't know the stars. We can see it, but we don't know it. So if we don't know it, what is it? It's intangible. We can't touch it, right? So we come into an idea that we are all one. And when we come into that idea that we are all one and we embrace it, we are able to utilize the energies that are around us. When I walk into a house for an investigation, I'm also lead investigator on Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. Before I was that, I was a consultant for a number of the other teams here in Oklahoma. They would get something that they didn't quite know what they were dealing with, and they would call me and they'd ask me to come in. So that gives a little more background. I can walk into a place and I can feel the energies that are there. And I can feel whether it be a good or a bad. I don't like using good or bad, just positive, negative. Because really, you have to have both in order to be yourself. Be who you are. Be. It's just I can feel when it's overly negative, and I can feel when it's overly positive, but I can also feel when it's completely balanced. And a good place, when I walk into a place that's perfectly balanced, I say, yeah, this isn't haunted. I say that before we even start an investigation. I say it in my own head. And it's like 9 times out of 10, we come out of that investigation is like, no, this is not a haunting. This is maybe EMF, or we'll find EMF in there, and this is what it is. This is causing you hallucinations, or it's causing you this. we don't get anything. But there's times when I'll walk into a place without knowing anything about it, and I will say, this is bad. This is evil. This is not good. And yeah, it's there. It's there. But the thing is they always, like the stuff you heard Kale play, they recognize me and they tell me they don't want me there. They tell me to leave because they know that if I stay, they can't. We raise our vibration and our energy to a very positive light. The negative cannot survive. So when we lower ourselves in vibration is when we dwell in the negative. So that's a point of attraction. When we lower our vibration and we start dwelling in the negative, we start having negative consequences. We start having negative entities. We start having negative hauntings. And most people don't want to believe that they've brought something negative into their home or into their dwelling or even into their lives because of their religious belief, but they don't look at it as they are part of the Creator. Ultimately, that's what it is. You gave that movie away. Did you not watch it?
No, I watched it
Did you watch
to
it?
the very end,
Okay.
and I was sitting there. I hear that when you say it, remember, 3 times, you bring it more, really.
Well,
make
it's
it-
more than that. If you 3 times is a good thing.
But the way they sing,
Repetition.
because they're reading off Tricorum, McCoy's Tricorum Sadisty, and they make it into a song, and it's a catchy song.
Yeah.
So after you watch the movie, you're sitting there singing the song, it's like, what the heck do those words mean? Yeah, better go look this up. Because
And
you know,
it
I
is-
hate to be saying something that could be bad.
Yeah.
And
And
you're
it
saying
is.
it over and over and over, it's like, oh my gosh, what am I bringing maybe to me? And I've heard that, not on classical music, and they've shown on In Search Of, they played rock and different kind of music. Well, supposedly during a time limit, somewhere in the 60s, I guess, around the Beatles, these record recording agencies started, they would be chanting in the back and putting this with the record to draw demons into you. So every time you're sitting there listening to some kind of music, like maybe blues,
Well,
you're
actually,
bringing in
you
stuff.
just brought up a really good point because the thing is vibrational energy, sound. Sound vibration is what actually changes things too. There, in Nazi Germany, one of the chancellors found with his sound therapy that he was doing and sound research he was doing that you heal yourself with the Vertus A, which is 432 megahertz. But you also can, yes, 432A,
42A megahertz.
432 megahertz. 432 megahertz is the sound of nature.
Oh, okay.
The sound of nature vibrates at a 432 hertz.
Okay.
The sound of the earth or the vibration of the earth vibrates at a 528 hertz, which also both of those tones are healing tones. They're healing vibrations.
42, 432.
432 and
And
528. And when you use those tones while you're sleeping, your subconscious mind uses those tones to heal you inside, from inside out. So that is part of the healing process. But he found that he could make people more docile and more controllable if he used 440 hertz, which is not found anywhere in nature. It's not found anywhere in any of the celestials anywhere. The 440 hertz is a very negative vibration. It causes sickness. It causes like cancer. It causes other diseases. Well, when he found that out, and Rockefeller Foundation found out about this, Rockefeller Foundation back in the 50s changed the tone of music from 432A, which is Vertus A, to 440A. So all of the rock music since the 1950s, except for very few of them that are still toned in 432, which most of the classical composers are 432. Those are healing tones. But everything else is toned in 440A, and they've done extensive research on this. A Japanese scientist took water from the same source, put it in different bottles. He played 432 hertz to this one, he played 528 hertz to this one, and he played 440 hertz to this one. All the water came from the same places, all the bottles came from the same places. He froze those bottles, and he took pictures of the crystallization ice forms that were in the bottles. Beautiful geometric shapes in both of these. Nothing but just a massive glob of trash in this one.
Mr. Moda, whatever.
Yes, yes, that was him. Now, Dr. Royal Raymond Rice knew this in 1932. He cured cancer with that, and that's been suppressed because there's no cause. I mean, no money in cure. So all of this stuff has been suppressed. I mean, but people don't dig. They don't look into the ancient wisdom, and there's ancient wisdom out there. And a lot of our books that contain ancient wisdom are being taken off the shelf. They're being hidden from us, just like the 14 books that got pulled out of the Bible and hidden from us. That's ancient wisdom. It's ancient knowledge that everybody should know, but only a select few do. And that's been part of my wanting to get out to everybody else, that they really need to start researching and not just, because my mom told me first thing, and this is the one thing I remember the most, and I thank my mom so much for it, was don't believe anything just because somebody tells you it's true. Don't believe something just because you read it in a book. You don't know exactly who wrote that and what they put into it. You research everything and then take it and internalize it, and if it feels right, use it, and if it doesn't, don't. And that's something that Buddha said, and that's in the Buddhist Bible. Don't believe it just because you heard it. Don't believe it because somebody else says it's true. Don't believe it because you read it, and don't believe it because you've seen it, because your eyes can deceive you. It's in the Bible. Your eyes can deceive you. So what you're seeing is not necessarily what you might be seeing. We have deceptions around us all the time. And what Kale was talking about demonic energies, they are the great deceivers. They are always around us trying to deceive us. Always. Now, what is our guidance? Our guidance is what we see with our mind's eye and what we feel right here. Our gut feeling is the best guidance that we could ever have. And that is internalizing God within.
Kind of start getting into chakra.
That gets it right into the chakras, and that's what I do. Is I do chakra therapy. I help people clear out the wreckage of their past through their chakras, because your chakras are energy centers in your body that actually hold energies. So if you're holding on to a bunch of negative energy, it blocks you down and keeps the flow of energy from flowing to the spiritual energy. Everything from here down is earth energy. Everything from here up is spiritual energy, and this connects the two. And that's the way they've known for tens of thousands of years in China and in Japan. And well, China knew it for tens of thousands of years. Japan only has known it for about the last 1,500 years, but India had known it for about 6,000 years. So the Far East medicine is all energetic, and that's what I do, is energetic work. I work with the Ascended Masters, with the energy fields, and I say the Ascended Masters because there's more than one. Jesus is just one of them. But they all do the same thing. They all pull that loving energy and they pull it through me and into others. I've been doing that my whole life, and that 13 years that I wanted everything shut off, that was the darkest time of my life. And I'm glad that I didn't have any way out, because there's always a way out, no matter what. I work with about 3 to 4 clients a day, 4 days a week, and almost every one of them that come to me for the first time, I have to exercise. They have something with them that's holding them back, an energy, a demonic, a low-level demonic. I have to exercise them. And after their first session, they walk away feeling like, oh my God, I haven't felt this good since I was a child. Well, yeah, you just got rid of a whole lifetime full of negative stuff in one setting, and then they want more. And they come back, and I teach them what I know. I start showing them little bits of the ancient wisdom, and then they start. It's like I've got a client that I just started seeing. We went over to this client's house for an investigation. It was a pre-investigation. It wasn't actually an investigation. She had very high EMF throughout her living quarters in the back part of the house where her bedroom is, where she spent most of her time. And she thought she had demonics there, and it was just the energy field that was there that was causing her the problems. She did have a low-level demonic with her, and I did tell her about that. And a few months later, she came to me and says, I'm ready to be done with this. Devout Christian, never gave any thought to anything else other than her own belief, but she saw and she felt the energy, the light energy that we had when we were there, and she called me and asked me to help her. And that's all it takes, is when you really want help to get rid of the things that are happening, it's done. After her first session, it was like, you could take a picture of her, and I'm going to start doing this with all my clients. I'm going to take a picture before I do any work, and I'm going to take a picture after. But I seen her before we started, her aura. She had this really dark, dingy look around her. And when we did the session, the very next day, she took a picture of herself, and she was just nothing but white energy all around her. Her aura just changed, because she got rid of a whole lifetime of holding on to negative thoughts, negative beliefs, negative energies. Now she's looking into ancient wisdom. She's looking into mysticism. These are things that were withheld from us for thousands of years. And she's coming around into that now. She's opened her eyes and opened her mind because of what she felt before the healing session and what she felt after the healing session. And that's just what I've been doing my whole life. I work with people all the time. I work with myself a lot too. We have to. If we aren't our best, we can't be the best for anybody else. So we have to work inside to become that which God or Jesus is. And in the Bible it says, when Jesus was talking, if you can't do this for yourself, then do it through me. That was a statement. You can do this yourself. You don't need Jesus to do it, because you have that power, you have that energy. So he said, if you can't do this yourself, use me. Use me. Use me. So we have the power to change everything about ourselves. And it was given to us, it was a God-given gift. And it's through thoughts and manifestation. And that's really in a nutshell, that is the law of attraction. What you think is what you receive. What you think about the most, what you feel about what you think is how you receive it. So you think about something and you think about something and you say, oh, this is good, but you feel bad about it because you think, oh, well, I don't deserve this good in my life. You're thinking bad about it. You're feeling bad about thinking good about it. And you're not manifesting the good that you're thinking about. You're manifesting your feelings. I don't deserve all of this. That's a negative. I don't deserve it. The Bibles all say that we deserve everything. We were born gods. We were all born gods. We're all part of the same. We're all one. Through my research, I found that each and every one of us, since they started taking footprints, have been forced into a contract with the devil.
What? Footprints?
Footprints at birth.
The birth at the hospital? Where they eat your foot?
That's taking a soul print. So when we let them soul print our children, we are ultimately making a contract with the Luciferian project. So we have to release these contracts, and that's part of what I do is I help people release themselves from any of the old contracts. Whether they knew they signed a contract or whether they didn't know they signed a contract, I help them release those contracts so they can have what it is they really should have. And most people don't know this. That was put in by, and I hate to say it, because I don't know what anybody's belief is in here, but that was put in by the Catholic Church thousands of years ago. They wanted to start taking soul prints and putting it into records. Those are contracts. So I help people break those contracts. The Bible also talked about it, and Jesus talked about reincarnation. A lot of people in different churches don't believe that we reincarnate, but it was in the Bible, and it's also, Jesus did talk about it, that we do live, we don't die. We're forever, we live forever. We are manifest in reality. We are part of the Creator. When we die in this physical plane, our soul lives on, which is life after death.
We're supposed to live longer.
What's that?
We're supposed to live longer.
Yeah, we're supposed to live longer. And the thing is Moses lived to be 1799 years old, something like that. Because he didn't have any contracts like that. It was all in that spiritual sense. He lived that spiritual life. We don't have to die.
And when you're giving it to children, like during exorcisms, because people ask questions, kids get possessed.
Yes.
Well, kids only get possessed as long as the parents die.
Exactly.
Kids, until they hit an age of accountability, they're kind of protected. Once that child gets the age of accountability where they literally know right from wrong, then they risk a chance of possession. But before then, the parents are in charge of the children. They're the spiritual guidance of the children. So if a child gets possessed before the age of accountability, it's always the parents' fault.
The parents or another mentor. So when we send our kids to school or we send our kids to church, those are mentors. What are we sending our kids to? Who are we sending our kids to? What is their true beliefs? What do they believe? What are they teaching our kids? That's where our society has gone from really good to really bad, because now we're not really teaching our kids any values, and we're having what we have in society now. It's tough, but it's all negative energy, And so when the person becomes ready to say, I'm sick of living the way I'm living, I need help, the teacher or the spiritual person will show up. When they're ready for something to happen, the teacher always appears. So it's ultimately, we are connected with God. So when we're ready, and God knows we're ready when we're ready, because we say we're ready, subconsciously, all of a sudden we have that teacher here. And then we start digging in, we start opening our minds, and we start looking at the things we need to look at to make sense of it for ourselves. That is ultimately how we manifest in our lives. We manifest through our own beliefs and the beliefs of others. And we really should stay away from the beliefs of others. We should only stay in what we believe is true for us. And I use the we because I am not just me. I am a collective. I am all of us. You are all of us. We are all one. It doesn't matter what our skin tone is. It doesn't matter what our race is. It doesn't matter what our religion is. All of those things are made to separate us from ourselves. And the power of one combined consciousness in this world can bring us out of the energies that we're in right now that are so negative. The warring, the hunger, the famine, the lack of, all that lack energy is a negative demonic energy that's been thrust upon us, and all we have to do is focus in the positive light instead of focusing on all this negative stuff they keep throwing at us. This negative stuff is made to promote fear. What is fear? Fear is part of the dual polarity. You have love, you have fear. That's it. The positive, the negative. Fear creates more fear. Fear creates the negatives. And anything that is fear-based is in that negative. And anything that is love-based is over here. Now we have to bring both of those toward the center to have that balance, to be that well-rounded person, to wind up being the ascended master. We have to control our negative energies and our positive energies as one. And that's where the oneness comes in. So when I walk into a place and see demonic energies or feel demonic energies, I let them know that they have no control over me.
Can you see them?
I can. From time to time I can, depending on if they want me to. But I can feel them. I know when they're there.
Amy Allen, she was on the Travel Channel. She worked with a detective, and they would have her walk into the house before the detective would come, I guess, either second or whatever, but at the very end of the gathering information, she would share, but she could actually see any ghosts or spirits and any
I can too.
demons. And
I can see the energies, I can see the vibrations, I can see the shifting of energies. When we are in investigations in pitch black darkness and we've got periscopes set around the room, I see an energy shift over here and we've got a periscope over there. I'll walk over to the periscope and I'll put it where I saw the energy shift, and by the time I get back to my chair, it's setting off that periscope and it's going through the range of lights. So I can see the energies moving even in the darkness. So I know where they are, and I can pinpoint it.
so, as far as questions, I have.
You have a bunch of them. Yeah.
Questions that are.
I figured you would.
Okay, well, see, I used to listen to Coast AM, I get, you know about that show. And, I had also listened to Whitley Strieber on, Dreamland. And he was talking about Indonesia, where if if you went into the jungle, all the people that lived there in Indonesia knew not to travel into the jungle with any colors on. They could only wear black or white. If they went into color, even in hidden socks under their clothing, there was color. Those people were disappearing and you'd never see them again. Well, that enticed me. I just was like, what is going on there? And then David Pilates, an ex-policeman, the private detective, was studying Bigfoot. And he was out gathering information at a national park. And these two rangers came to his hotel room and said, look, we're having all these disappearances. Could you check into it? So he talked to some of his police buddies and other detectives. They put it on the computer and came up with zillions of disappearances they take. Maybe the parks will take 2 weeks, maybe a month if the person's they're really spending lots of money, and do search and rescue. And then after that time, they totally let it go. They don't ever search for him again.
Right.
And so he's written 6 books. So all this, I'm sure, is probably negative information. It's all being processed because after each one of those stories I'm reading, and this is from the 1700s, people have been disappearing, just like in Indonesia.
Just like in the Bermuda Triangle.
If you wear color into these national parks, a lot of these disappearances, people were wearing a red hoodie or an orange hoodie, or they had a red backpack, and they're gone. It's like they just disappeared off the face of the earth. They don't know what happened to them. They can't find. And these big hunters where they go into the woods, gonna spend a week trapping that big moose or a couple of grizzlies or something. They're loaded to the teeth with weapons. They come across their camp, they're gone, all the weapons are gone. So I've read all these books except for the very last one. I'm sure all that can't be positive, it's probably negative. And I just went to an Oklahoma, it's for IT. The guy that they promote as the big speaker was on first. He lives in Edmond, Oklahoma, of all places to live. He came in and he sees the future. You know, these veterans come back with missing legs and stuff, and they replaced it with funny kind of, hairpin kind of things that they walk on. Well, he sees the future that they're going to remove they're going to take away our brains, and they can track everything that will be smarter. This is the selling point. You'll be smarter.
But a lot of the reasons I stopped actually watching mainstream TVs and movies, we don't watch anything in our house. We do a lot of reading and we research. We don't really watch TV. We don't watch these shows because, the word they use, programming, this is paid programming, or this is programming. Everything that they bombard you with is programming. Just like your brain is a supercomputer. What happens when they want to change something? They reprogram the computer. So they send you programming, they send you things out there. The best thing that you can ever do is dig for the written text, the ancient wisdom, and go through the ancient wisdom to make your own mind up. But when you go through these things on TV, you're going through whoever that producer was or whatever their intent was behind what they're producing to get the effect that they want out of society as a whole. That's what they put out there.
No, well, but this was downtown at the Cox Convention Center. It was for all these computer people, the safety and keeping hackers out of your computer. Well, everything's backdoored. Microsoft put the backdoors in everything, so they want to know what you're doing. But the thing is, in the computer world, You won't need a computer. You will be the computer.
But all they're doing is they're promoting fear. By telling you this, they're making you fear that they have that ability
Well,
to do
that's
this.
it.
And it is actually throwing a negative out there to you, and you grasp onto it just like a dog grabbing a bone and say, "This is mine." Oh no, this is not good, but it's still mine. You know, I can see this, and now I'm going to focus on this, and the more I focus on it, the more it starts coming true, the more it starts happening. So when they do these, like they call them, false flag attacks,
Yeah.
they get people so worked up about the attack itself, and they get people so worked up about guns or about the items or about something else. It's all to get a energy shift vibration. So it's to promote and instill fear in people. When they get that fear, the Luciferian project is winning. So anytime they get you to focus on the negatives in life, which the news is full of negatives, they don't really show you anything positive. Maybe one story out of all the newscasts has a positive spin to it. And they just touch on it and it's gone. They focus you on all the negatives that are going on in society. Same thing with movies that are produced. They show you a lot of negative stuff. And you focus on that negative and you help bring in that negative for them. So that's part of the thing about manifestation is you have to get a collective of people together thinking the same way. This has already been a proven scientific fact that when you put 750 people meditating on peace, they made peace happen in a certain area. They did this experiment overseas, and they had 750 Far East Indian gurus meditate on world peace. And they got peace for that short bit of time that they did this. Right after they did it, there was peace. There wasn't any bloodshed. There wasn't anything happening anywhere in the world for a few days after they did that meditation. Just think what happens if you control a whole world through what you show them in the media and on TV, and you get them all focusing on this. Okay, Walking Dead is a really good thing. It's a bad thing.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but that's what I'm saying, is a lot of people are totally gripped in that, okay? And they're thinking, all they're thinking is Walking Dead this, Walking Dead that, you know, so they're creating that flow of energy, okay? So, the negative stuff on the news, you focus on that, well, how many people are focusing on that? Everybody that's watching is focusing on it. Shock and awe. Shock and awe is what they do. And that's where they take control of you.
Okay. Yeah, because at the end of The Secret, they said, if you want peace, you have, if you don't want this war, you don't focus on it and go fight and protest in it, because you're going to bring more of it.
You're going to make more of it to you. Protesting a war is causing more war.
And I've had a real problem grasping onto that. That and they showed, they made it a point to bring Mother Teresa. If there's going to be something negative, Mother Teresa said, don't invite me to that, invite me to the peace.
Exactly.
Rally. So,
and that's the truth. She is also considered an ascended master. So is Mother Mary.
it's just hard sometimes to wrap your head around, okay, I don't want to, because you get so unhappy at what the government's doing and the way they're...
And it's okay to see it, recognize it for what it is, but don't dwell on it. Change what you're focusing on to what you truly want out of life, and that's your manifestation. And if you get more people on board with changing what they're feeling and seeing to what they truly want in life, heaven on earth, that's possible. You get enough people together focusing on all of the positives that we really have, and those positives will manifest themselves. just think about it, because it says right there, before you have asked, you shall have already received. If you have multiple people focusing on peace on earth all at the same time, you have a tsunami happening of peace on earth, and we bring in the golden age. It's through the consciousness of one. All are one. Any more questions?
When you look at me, what do you see? Just out of it, it's just.
Open your eyes. See a number of different past lives that you have. You knew this ancient wisdom in past lives. It's there. You know what you need to do.
Is my aura giving off darkness?
No.
I mean, less.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, the eyes are the windows of the soul. So when you're working with somebody and you're looking straight in their eyes, you can actually see them, see who they really are. That's why when you start talking with people, they don't want to make eye contact with you. They call them shifty. If they've got shifty eyes, they don't want to look you in the eyes. They're hiding something. There's a negative trying to hide something. So the eyes always have their. And see, when I look into somebody's eyes, that's my key. And when I look into somebody's eyes, and give me a direct gaze, and it stays there, and they don't move away. We've been deceived for a lot of years. We have all been deceived. It's time to actually take back what was rightfully given to us. And it says it in every scripture, every book that I've read, every holy book that I've read has scripture in it that says we were gifted this place as gods. We are God. Because God is not outside of us, God is part of us. We are God. And as a collective, we are all one. We were given authority over angels and demons. Who usually would have authority over his own creations? God. God created angels, God created demons. God created us. But he gives us on earth dominion over angels and demons. So what does that tell you? If God has dominion over all of his creations, but God gives people dominion over his creations that he created before people, that means people are God also. If you look at it in that light. We are all made in the image and likeness of the Creator. Creator is energy. We are all energy. Everything is energy. Everything has DNA. Plants, us, everything. It's all energetic. It's all on an energetic code. Zeros and ones. Binary code, zeros and ones. You're zeros and ones, just like I am, just like that chair is, just like that popcorn machine is. It's all put together in a grand scheme of God actually getting to know itself through us. So you can have positives, you can have negatives, and you can look at it as the negative is really bad, I don't want it, but that's part of us. God created light and dark. That's part of the polarity. You have to have both. You can't have one without the other. So that means we have to take it and figure out how to take care of it. So the darkness that I spent for 13 years was part of me. And I had to, I succumbed, or it actually had me all totally lost. But I won over it. I recognized what it was, and I recognized it was part of me, and it was part of me that had to be there for me to exist. But I don't have to act on it. It's the thought that it's there and that it's part of creation, but I don't have to act out on it. It's the same thing is true when we have thoughts of anger. Anger is a good thing. It's an emotion that we need. But it's how we act on that emotion that could be a bad thing or it could be a good thing. It's the action after the fact. So, just saying that we walk into a place and it's full of darkness and it's full of demonic energy. The thing is when you start looking at the human body is, what is it, babe? Is it 700 trillion protons in the human body? Photons. 700 trillion photons make up the human body. And photons are energy, pure energy, and pure energy gets left behind. When I walk into a place, my energy is here, and my energy stays. I mean, I leave residual energy behind. Everybody does. So if a person comes into a place that has that's been practicing demonic rituals and things like that, their energy is that negative demonic energy. They walk into a place and they're leaving those photons behind. Photons last in a place. I mean, if you're just walking through, the photons will last in that stream of where you walk through for up to 30 days. So if somebody comes into your house that's very negative, they're leaving photonic energy in your house. That's why I tell people, cleanse your house on a regular basis. People come into your house, they leave their energy behind. That's the photons that we have in our body. And that photonic energy it just follows us like a trail. Just like a real orb or a true orb is going to have a tail as it's moving. You're going to see it with its own light source, and you're going to see it with a tail following behind it. That's showing that it's actually leaving photonic energy behind as it's going. We do the same thing. Go ahead.
On that show that they said that was the most haunted town in America, Shepherdstown, this one woman, she walks around with the sage all the time. She's using that sage all the time, getting things off. And I mean, at the slightest little thing, I mean, they can show what on the camera she's going. Something's wrapping around you, and they're digging in, and sometimes they can kind of catch a blue outline of something around them. And she'll take that sage and start, blowing it towards them, and then she says, you have to get off, you gotta go away, you can't hold on to them, and it will vanish. So
Sage.
what is it about sage that does that really help her
Yes.
out?
Native American revere sage as like the grandfather god. Sage is a god energy. So the Native Americans look at sage as God. And God cleanses and clears. Cedar, they look at cedar the same way. Cedar is a clearing agent. They look at Palo Santo, which is a softwood from South America. The South American shamans use that one to clear negative energies. Different parts of the world are different things. Sweetgrass is another one of them that they use. So there's a number of different things that you can use to clear energies. But you also use the vibrational sounds that I gave you. 432, 528. You have 7 Fujio scale sounds, and I'm going to try to remember all of them right offhand. As a matter of fact, let me just go to my cheat sheet. I do have a cheat sheet on the energies. Going to get out of there. So the lowest energy is going to be the root chakra, and that is a 396 hertz. And that's liberating yourself from guilt and fear. That's cleansing that chakra, and that is liberating all the guilt and fear out of your life. It's pulling it all out and creating a free flow of energy through your chakras. That vibrational sound helps free you. You go from the 432, from that one up to 432. 432 is the next one, which is right here in the sacral area. It's the orange color, and that one is the sound of nature. So when we are feeling really bad and we want to cleanse ourselves of that bad feeling, we go out into nature, and nature is just like rejuvenated. The sound of nature, the sound of the birds chirping, the wind blowing through the trees, the lightning striking from the skies, the sound of thunder, all of that vibrates on a 432 hertz. 432 is a healing energy. It's a healing vibration, but it works on this chakra. The next one is the 528. 528 works right here. This is another earthly chakra, and it works on this one. This is our decision center. So when we are indecisive and we really don't know what we want to do, that vibration will actually help us move into a positive light. So then we go to the next one, which is the heart chakra, and that goes from the 528 to the 639, which is a pure tone hertz. It's a frequency that, man, I'll tell you, it's a good one. It's creating love in your life. It's getting rid of the negative emotions, feeling the love and expressing love. There's a love energy. It's a love vibration. We go from the 639 to the 741 frequency, which is awakening intuition, which is the throat chakra, where our creativity and our artistic abilities and everything is all associated right here. You see some people that are extreme artists that make the best art ever, or authors of books that just know how to write, and it's all through this chakra. Everything goes down the hands and it flows, and that's through that 741 frequency. Then the next one is the 825 pure tone frequency. That one is for the third eye chakra. That is to balance it. That is to bring harmony in your visions and the things that you see.
Did you say 825?
852. 852 hertz. And then the seventh chakra, the crown chakra, is what they call the God chakra. That is a 963 Sophia hertz. It's a 963 hertz, but it's part of the Sophia-Gill, I can't say it, Sophia-Gill scale. So everything that I just gave you is part of the Sophia-Gill scale, which is everything in the universe is built on that scale. If you look at Einstein's theory of relativity, it's built on that same Sophia scale. You look at the makeup of the universe, you'll see that same scale in the snail, that vibration, that's the same. The spiral is the same as this. So everything is meant to function through these vibrations. And when we throw these vibrations off by using that 440 hertz that they bombard us with from all around constantly, it promotes fear, disease, and problems in our lives. And it gets us focused on the things that we shouldn't be focused on. Because we were gifted everything. God said, this is all yours. You are me. You are gods and goddesses. You have everything. You have everything. I've given you my whole kingdom. And you know that you've been given the whole kingdom when God gives you dominion over his own angels. And these are things that I could not get questions answered out of any of the preachers ever, because they didn't know. They didn't study ancient wisdom. All they studied was what they were told, this is the way it is. Who told them? Buddha says, don't believe what you're told until you research it and you feel it out for yourself and you come to an understanding that this is true to me. So you can take in anything all day long, but if you believe it, you're giving manifest to what you believe. And that is the law of attraction. What you believe is what you get. And ultimately, it's what you believe in your subconscious, not your conscious mind. I see you get that look like, but I don't believe that.
No, it's just, the thing, it's also in the secret too.
Yeah.
Is these people that go on about their hurts and their pains and that
They create more of the
that
same.
they keep talking about their cancer, that they keep, I'm still a survivor, it hasn't come back, but they keep talking about it.
They keep talking about it.
And every time you talk about it, you're bringing it to you,
Bringing it to the
but they don't
forefront again.
see it, and they know exactly, they'll repeat exactly everything I've said. When you dwell upon it, you're bringing it, but yet they don't see what they're saying is like, kind of like me saying, I see what our government's doing and how they're lying to us, and everything that they put out is no, and it makes me angry. I want to fight it. I want to fight with them to make them stop, because I don't want my money going up there anymore. I'd like Oklahoma to become independent, but I don't like what they're doing with it. I mean, they haven't even addressed the $800 million that just vanished.
Yep.
I mean, they're not going to address that, but they're wanting us to give them more money.
And it was
just
more
makes
like
it's like,
$20
hey.
trillion that vanished.
And the thing is, I'd like to change it, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like, okay, I'll try and sit here and think positive thoughts about them when they're correct.
Right. And that, on that note, I'm gonna have to stop, because if we go down that rabbit
Okay.
hole, it goes really deep.
Well, let me end it on this.
It goes really deep.
I did go see Raymond Grace.
Yeah.
When he was at, in Albuquerque, because he goes traveling around the countryside, and the closest he was coming to Oklahoma was, Albuquerque. And, he indicated that we could, talk to our lakes and rivers and clean them up. It's just showing respect and love.
Well, there was a scientist that actually did that from Canada.
Mr. Yokomoto.
Well, not Yokomoto. He did another study. The scientist up in Canada actually used 432 and 528 hertz to cleanse oil-infested waters to drinkable water. Oil-infested water cannot be drinking. You can't use it. It's nasty. It's polluted. There's no way to fix it. He fixed it using 432 and 528 hertz, playing it to the music. It separated the oil from the water and created a loving, healing water source out of oil-infested water.
Well, he indicated that, getting back to him, he would go to the most polluted, and he would clean these ponds or rivers or lakes and stuff, and he taught his young daughter, who was 4 years old, how to do it too, and he said, hey, we all can do it.
We all can.
But the thing is, we don't. And he ended the whole seminar by saying, I challenge every one of you to share this information with young people, because most of the people that come here are old timers like you,
Right.
And he says, our young people need this knowledge.
Yeah. And
What
if
if
you-
we taught them from the very beginning this knowledge, so they could get a really good grip on it and really see it working? What will
And-
we do for our future tomorrow?
And see, that's why with our child,
Uh-huh.
we are not subjecting her to the toxins. We're making all of our own food. We're not letting her get any of the pesticides. We're not letting her get any of the toxins that they're putting into foods that they're calling preservatives. We're not letting any of that happen. We're homeschooling. She's being schooled from birth. The children from age 0 up to age 6, their brain development, that is where their brain grows, is during that first 6 years. So everything that they're subjected to from outside of their own environment, from their teachers to the TV to the radio, frames their mind and makes their thinking that. We are giving her only nature, ancient wisdom, ancient knowledge. We're giving her all of the things that we should have all had, and we're keeping that, what they're trying to subject our kids to, out of the equation. We're bringing her up in a love energy, in a love vibration, in a healing vibration. She was already attuned as a Reiki master teacher before she was born. I did the master attunements on her as she was in the womb. She came out already a healer. Her name says that she's a healer. Jace is healer in Greek. Takota is Lakota Sioux for friend to all. She knows no strangers. Everybody is a friend. Even the negatives, they are friends, because we have to all get along. We have to become one. That's where it's at. When the Tower of Babel fell. The Tower of Babel fell because everybody was one, but they started chaotically fighting with one another. And the 13 tribes took the one holy book and they ripped it into pieces and they all went their own ways. So if we say this religion is the only way, and this one says this religion is the only way, and this one says this is the only way, and this one says this is the only way, really, they've all got it partially right. Bring it all back together and become one again, and then we've got it right. And through my studies and through everything that I've done, everything that I've seen in my lifetime, that's what I found. Is if we bring it all back together and we become one again, we can have heaven on earth. We can have the streets paved with gold. We can have everything that's been promised us. But as long as we stay at odds with one another and separate ourselves from God, we are doomed to a hell that's self-created on earth. And that's where we're at, energetically speaking. So we can stop focusing on what they're trying to make us focus on and start focusing on what we want to focus on and bring that into existence, and there's the energy shift. It was written in ancient texts that around the year 2012, there was going to be a shift. Mayan calendar said there was going to be a shift. The Mayan calendar ended December 21st of 2012. Everybody thought, oh, the end of the world. No, it's the end of an age. It's an end of a cycle. And if you look way back into ancient wisdom, all of the other societies knew the same thing. That was the end of the Piscean age. Now we're moving into what they call the Golden Age, the age of Aquarius. The age of Aquarius is where the Jesus energy is supposed to come back. It's not a person manifesting, it is an energy manifesting in people. The God source energy is re-emerging within people, and it's that Jesus energy that's coming in. And it says in scripture, I will not come as a lamb. I came as a lamb last time, I'll come as a lion next time. The lion energy is upon us. that came in and is still here. The lion energy is here. It's the Leo energy. Saturn, the king of our planets, Saturn, or no, it's Jupiter, excuse me. Jupiter actually passed through the another prophecy out of the Bible, if you'd like to hear it. What was it, babe? September 23rd?
For the Virgo thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
September 23rd. It says in the Bible, and I'm not quoting it exactly the way it reads, but the Virgin with 12 spikes on her crown, standing on the moon. Okay, what happened on September 23rd of this year was the moon was sitting over here, and at dusk was sitting in the western sky, and the sign Virgo, which is the Virgin Mother, standing right on top of the moon. She had a halo over her head of 12 stars. Actually, it was 11 stars. And Jupiter, the king of the planets, the king, returned and wound up in that, which made it the 12th star in the crown of the mother, standing on the moon. That is the introduction of the Christ energy.
Kind of getting into the book of Enoch.
And that's getting right into the book of Enoch, which was suppressed from us. So, if you really want to know ancient knowledge, dig those books out, read them.
The book, if you get into the book of Enoch, parts of it will sound very confusing because it gets into mathematics, like really deep.
And it is, everything is mathematically equated. Everything is a mathematical equation.
It breaks down the stars, the planets, and their purposes. It's like, it's really deep.
It's very deep.
It's very deep, it'll blow your mind.
It does, it blows your mind.
And it gets right into that.
Life itself blows my mind. It's like just when you think you got a handle on it, it's like there's something weird that happens and it blows you away. It's like, this can't be happening. God just put too many mysteries on the earth.
Does anybody else have any questions on what I shared?
So if we want to see you personally, what do? You just
Just give me a call and we'll get you on the schedule.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. If she's got one,
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Both of us.
All right, there you go.
Thank you so much.
Hand it to somebody else that might need it.